Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Caden, I'll be your host today. Oh my god, y'all, I cannot believe that we are at the end of 2024 already. I feel like this year has honestly gone by like so fast, yet so slow at the same time. Like, I just feel like a lot of days blended together because of how quickly we were going through everything. It was little crazy, a little cuckoo pants. But anyway, I will say the craziest part of this year was how many books I've read, because this year was the best reading year I've ever had. I read 130 books. That is insane. Because I sometimes, like last year, I struggled to break the 80 barrier, which is still amazing. But I at the beginning of the year, I set a sub goal. I was like, okay, if I get past 100, which I definitely won't do, let me try and get 125. And I got that. I surpassed that. That is insane, y'all. But yeah, anyway, of course, with reading so many books comes a lot of favorites. So that is what we are going to do today, is we are going to go through my favorite books of 2024. And I have a lot. I thought I was going to struggle because honestly, when I was trying to look back at first, without using apps, I was like, "Oh, I don't think I've read it very many enough books to make a strong list." Because I thought a lot of them were very forgettable. But honestly, I struggled to narrow this down. Like, I read so many insanely good books this year. So let's just get into it, okay? Because we have a list of favorites and we have honorable mentions. We have a lot to get through, okay? So let's get into the books. Okay, y'all, so I do have my laptop here because your girl is not pulling out 800 books at 3 in the morning that I have to put away soon. Also, it is 3 in the morning, so I'm sorry if I'm fighting to explain myself through this. But anyway, first up we have Loot by Jennifer Marie Thorne. Now, this is a horror novella, really short book, that is basically Midsummer meets Final Destination, where on this island, it's a really good, really lucky island. Nothing bad happens to the people that live here. However, every 7 years, every 7 years, 7 random islanders are picked off one by one as kind of a sacrifice to keep the good fortune going. Now, the plot does take 50%, it picks up 50% of the way through. And that was an issue for me. It took me a second to get into it. However, once we get there, girl. It's like Six of Crows, where it's you do have to kind of bear with it. But once the ball starts rolling, we get honestly such an amazing book. I loved this so much, specifically because of the latter half of the book. Especially the ending, it made me feel such a warm, found family warmness in it. And there was such a good messaging that I cannot really talk about in detail because it will spoil the book. But I would highly suggest picking this up because it has such a good wholesomeness almost to the ending, and I love it. I love it so much. It was amazing. Next up is Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. I think I said that last name right. I tried the accent. It's not really working with me. But anyway, I listened to this on audio at the very beginning of the year, and y'all, it has stuck with me all year. This is a very short audiobook, or a very short book, period, that is basically about this girl who gets possessed by an ancient Mexican god, I believe. I think that's what she's possessed by, but it is an ancient god of some kind. Yeah. And this is very different from most possession books because, first of all, it takes I can't it's another situation where I can't really talk about it for fear of spoiling the book, but it puts a nice almost anti like Christianity or like anti super organized puritanical religious aspect to it. It's very much so like, yeah, The Exorcist and like, you know, being super yay Jesus maybe is not the move. Um, yeah. I can't really explain myself for fear of spoiling the book. However, this is an amazingly like unique and really interesting take on like the possession trope and like possession stories, and I ate this shit up. I want to reread it so badly, honestly, just talking about it. Like, I loved this book so much. So the next one we have is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Now this might be one of my most favorite Grady Hendrix books of all time. Because listen, this is literally what the title sounds like. Basically this old woman on the street or like in this suburban neighborhood dies, and her like niece or her grandson something moves in, and he starts acting he has some weird behavior that makes the women around this block start to think that he is a vampire. And y'all, when I tell you I've never been more angry nor more anxious while reading a book, because like this takes place during the Satanic Panic. So there's just so much of like husbands being absolute dickheads, and actually just like every single male character being a dickhead, and I actually hate them so much. And honestly, even some of the ladies in this book club, I was like, I want to fight one of these bitches so badly. But yeah, anyway, this is such a good like strong female friendships book, and I love it so much. I love this book so much. There's so much good commentary about the Satanic Panic time period and how women were treated during then, and also just like a really interesting, amazing, terrifying story. I love it so much. This is again now my like second favorite Grady Hendrix book, compared to or not compared to, but like other than the My Best Friend's Exorcist by him as well. I love that one with all my heart. But anyway, I love this book so much. This was amazing, 5 stars, and one of my favorites. Then we have The Story of the Eye by Georges Bataille. I think that's how you pronounce that name. But this is basically I don't even think it really has a plot to it. It is transgressive fiction, and it focuses basically, I'm trying to explain this because it's a very hard book to explain, but it's kind of the Black Swan, but instead of perfectionism, it's hedonism, if that makes sense. And it basically explores, you know, what happens if if people were to go on the total opposite spectrum of total puritanical, you know, perfectness to hedonistic, insane creatures. And I listen, this book is insane, and from start to finish, there are just lines where you're like, you wrote that in the, I think, 1920s. You wrote that and you got it published. You said that out loud. Okay, just making sure, you know. But yeah, no, this is literally so good, and throughout the whole story it's insane until you read, there's just one like passage where you're like, oh shit, it all makes sense, and that's the meaning of the book right there, and it's so beautiful and so well written. I will say the ending did get a little insane, and by a little I mean very insane. I was very much so like, whoa, guys, maybe we're taking it too far. But yeah, no, I love this so much and would highly recommend. However, check trigger warnings. Make sure you have a strong stomach. Okay. Then we have Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. This is a punk extreme horror novel that explores fascism through haunted houses. And it is a retelling of, oh my god, what's the Shirley Jackson book? Hold up. No, I don't have, Haunting of Hill House. It's like a retelling of Haunting of Hill House. It's so good. Okay. Fuck. Okay, next up we have Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. Okay, y'all. So this is a punk extreme horror book that explores fascism and is also a retelling of The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. And y'all, okay, let me give you a quick idea of the plot. These two girls, Alice and Illa. Alice is a trans woman, Illa is a TERF. They used to be like this, potentially more than. And they had this best friend. They all went to the house together. Best friend goes missing. These two women have two very different stories that paint the other as victim and perpetrator. And they like go off separate ways, until the house brings them back. And I don't remember the house's name. I think it's Alburn, but I don't know. It's an AL name. But anyway, and it is basically an exploration of how fascism is like rooted within all of us, and also like just how easy it is to go down an alt-right pipeline in your ideals, and also how those ideologies, whatever, can lead to more extreme ideologies that we left in after a certain war, if you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah, but this was an amazing book, and I loved it. It is extreme horror, so it is a little more, it's not really super gory in that respect. However, it is very intense in some of the more traumatic things depicted, such as descriptions of SA. So yeah, do keep that in mind before going in. And there is, I believe, a trigger warnings list at the beginning of the book. But yeah, this is amazing, and I love it, and I think it is a super, super important book that everyone should read. So yeah. Then we have, wait a minute, okay. Then we have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is letters from the perspective of Dracula's first wife. And it's like letters to Dracula that you're reading as like Dracula receiving them, if that makes sense. But it's basically her telling of her marriage with Dracula. And this is a beautifully written account of like DV, and also just of this story. I'm sorry, I'm genuinely fighting to give a good description, but it is a beautiful description of like, and very well written and very like empowering story of DV, and how those relationships look, and how victims can heal from those. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm genuinely struggling so hard because I'm so tired, but yeah. This is an amazing book, and it's a very short, and it's taken me years to get to, and I wish I read it sooner. I love it so much, and I truly think this is such a good way to explore heavy topics such as DV, and I love it. I love it so much. Then we have Word Slut by Amanda Montell. This is a nonfiction book basically exploring linguistics and our language of like, such as like derogatory terms we use towards women in our day-to-day life, such as slut or bitch, and like, you know, how those words have like changed in their meaning over time, their usage to become demeaning towards women, and just exploring the deeply rooted misogyny within even just day-to-day language. And I not only is this genuinely such a good book to just kind of make you think more about how you speak, but also it is such a fun and interesting listen because especially the audiobook, it sounds like your like bestie is telling you, or like you're listening to a podcast about a girl being like, oh my god, interesting topic, and it's funny and it's like delivered in such a like good way and such a digestible way. It isn't super heavy or dense, and it's so good. It's so good. And I find linguistics so interesting. I have read like a quarter of one of her other books, and I'm trying to reread it, like try to read it all the way through right now. But truthfully, I love Amanda Montell's writing so much, and also just like this book is so good. I love it, and I ate it up. So yeah. Then we have The Hunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Christie. This was also a book I read earlier this year, and oh my god, when I tell you all that it has resonated with me on such an insane level. Okay, so this is basically about like a ghost town kind of thing. So we have these three friends, right? And they have been besties since childhood, and then suddenly they're the only survivors of their neighborhood because their neighborhood, it was like there's just this bubble around it where nobody has gone into. It's kind of like if you've seen Annihilations, kind of like that sort of a deal. And a few years later, our three friends are invited back, and our main character is the only one who goes back, and she goes into her neighborhood. She's the only one who can enter through this thing, and she basically is like trying to unravel or bring to light the mystery of what happened, and like trying to fix what happened to this town because it was turned into a ghost town. And like it's hard to explain because it's one been a long time and two I'm exhausted. But I don't think this is something that is going to work for everybody. I do think this was mostly like I was the target audience for this. And honestly, okay, I will say the way I like pictured like the neighborhood and stuff, this is a very weird core book and I love it so much, and this was so interesting and such an amazing book. Such an amazing book. There, I believe, is a queer. Yes, there's a queer storyline. It's there's conversations around exploration of trauma that I love, and I just love this book, and I think it was perfect. I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be right back. Sorry, I've been like yapping way too long, but anyway, then we have The September House by Carissa Orlando. And this is about a haunted house that, like, it gets haunted the worst in the month of September. And it follows our main character, who is an older female main character, which we love that. And her husband has gone missing, and her daughter keeps calling and being like, hey, where's dad? Can I talk to dad? Hey, where's dad? Until she's basically like, okay, I'm gonna come over there if you won't let me talk to him. And obviously this woman is like, oh my god, please don't come over. Like, you will make me leave my house because this shit is haunted. Especially since it's the month of September. So yeah, this book, okay, took a turn that I did not think it was going to. I thought it was going to be the vibes of like a Grady Hendrix book, that it was going to be very campy and very funny. However, it was not that. It was female rage at its best, and also a story about DV. And I ate that up because it was told in such an amazing way. Like any of the books in this video, I believe handled DV. Like if they talk about DV, they handled it in such an amazing way and such a unique way too. Like the September, I truly loved its take on DV. I loved its like empowering story. And it's very much so like it focuses on both like the spouse that is affected and also the child that is affected in this situation from the spouse's point of view as well. Like it's such a good book. I love this so much, and it was so good. It was an amazing book. I would highly recommend this. And honestly, this does also have a little bit of a found family vibe to it. I ate this shit up. I ate this shit up. Yeah. And also, oh my god, I forgot about this. The whole thing is an allegory for DV. If you read between the lines as you are reading and you start to uncover more of the plot, you'll start to be like, oh shit, I get it now. So yeah, anyway, next up is Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera, and this is the only thriller on my favorites list this year. And that is because this is like okay, I did listen to the audiobook for this and that will help so much. But this is a hilarious audiobook about this woman who her best friend was murdered like 3 to 5 years ago. And she was there the night it happened, but she doesn't remember anything of what happened. Obviously, people are like, "Oh, you're guilty." But she's like, "I can't remember anything from that night. Like it's traumatic suppression. Like I can't remember shit." So we can't really like there's no evidence that she did it, so she can't be tried for it. But anyway, all these years later, she's brought back to her hometown by a podcaster who's doing like a season on what happened. So she's like, fine, I'll go. And she starts to unravel this whole mystery with him. And also this podcaster, he's fine as shit. He's fine as shit. He's one of my book boyfriends this year. Okay, I need him. He's so silly. Ben, I love you. But yeah. Amazing. This is like our main character is fucking hilarious. The grandmother and this like her grandmother is hilarious. Everybody's hilarious. I love this book. I'm sorry, I repeated that because I'm tired. But yeah, everyone's hilarious. And also I did kind of clock the twist at one point. However, I did not think that this book was going to handle DV. And it handled DV and in a very unique way. It handled it in a very nuanced way. And I love that. I love specifically the like the nuance of the situation in this book. And it's amazing. I love this book. I love this book. It was amazing, and I think you should read it if you're a thriller reader. So good. So good. Highly recommend. Listen to it with audio. And if you can't do just audio, immersive read with the book and the audio. Trust. It'll make it so much better. I love that book so much. Yeah. An amazing thriller with amazing like commentary on DV. Okay, now before we get into my favorite book of the year, let me tell you all about the runner-ups, okay? I had a lot of runner-ups this year, and honestly, these aren't really all of them. I read a lot of good shit this year. But yeah, anyway, let me just tell y'all about these runner-ups. So first up, we have Drama by Raina Telgemeier. I just love Raina Telgemeier, and I've been a stan for her since 5th grade. I love her books, and I will pick them up always. Amazing. And this is just a sweet little, like, middle school silly book. Yeah. Then we have I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because of the transition from drama to this, but this is an amazing dystopian sci-fi. An amazing sci-fi. And it's really, really fucked up and like really bleak, and I ate it up. I ate it up. It's really bleak and it's really dark and it's really depressing and low-key really realistic and fuck AI. Yeah. Then we have Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. This is a thriller that I read last month, or this month, and it is so good. It's like a lot of plot lines at first, but they all come together and the twists are insane. And honestly, like this shit kind of gets really dark, not gonna lie. Like this shit kind of gets dark and it was kind of fucked up, low key, but really good. And also on that, I didn't add this to my list. However, I do want to add it. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, because actually it does deserve to be a runner up at least. This is one of the most disturbing thrillers I've ever read, and it's basically it follows these two sisters, one of whom her husband they both have a missing sister, by the way. Keep that in mind. Um but yeah, so this woman's husband, one of them who's living a really rich life, her husband passes away in a burglary gone wrong. She goes through his computer and finds a video. I don't think I can say that on YouTube, but finds this video, and it all just goes downhill from there. And it is so disturbing. And like, is it really super realistic? No. But yes, at the same time, like it feels so real. I read this on an 8-hour flight from the US to Spain, and it was like nighttime and everybody was asleep, and I was just kind of sitting there like, oh, because there's a part, oh, it's stomach churning, it's amazing, it's disturbing, it's realistic, and I loved it. Anyway, then we have Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. This is a dark romance between two serial killers who are kind of like vigilante serial killers, and yeah. I love this so much. And the man, I don't remember his name, but he was fine as shit, and I want him. And also, I will say, I do respect a dark romance book that takes a while to get into the smut. Did we have 3 chapters of smut in a row? Yes, we did. However, I feel like it was well deserved. I will say, the ending was kind of abrupt for me, and I feel like it didn't wrap things up in a good, like, it felt a little like, and cut off by smut. I don't think it was actually really the, like, ending so much as, like, the third act conflict, you know, where, like, your couple has to break up for, like, 2 chapters and then they get back together because of a miscommunication or whatever. Yeah. I just feel like that should have been resolved a little bit healthier. But yeah. Also, there's some stuff in here that I love to see a man do in a smut book, I will say. So yeah. Anyway, that's as far as I'm gonna say with that before I get too TMI and too gross on this YouTube channel. Anyway, next we have No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is a thriller that I read like 2 weeks ago. And it's basically this college student, she's like driving home through the mountains of Colorado, or not home, but like to go to the hospital where her mom's staying because she has pancreatic cancer. But she gets trapped on the way there at this road stop with 4 other strangers, and she sees a kid in a car outside in the snow. They look kidnapped. They're in a cage. And okay, this was written by a man, I'm pretty sure. I think. Actually, let me look that up. I'm pretty sure. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Yeah, written by a man. However, Darby, our main character, she was a badass, okay? She was a final girl. When I tell you, I've never loved a female, like, main character in a book. Well, I have, but, like, she was a bad, like, in a thriller, I rarely find ones that I love as much as her. Like, oh, oh my god, I aspire to be her. Yeah, I love this thriller. It wasn't really like a plot twisty sort of thing, but it was like a, oh, action packed, can't look away sort of thing. Yeah. Then we have Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. This is a horror novel from the POV of an 8-year-old girl who, like, she has some trouble going on at home with her parents, and she has an imaginary friend named Other Mommy, and she's chill with her until Other Mommy is like, can I go into your heart? And our main character's like, no, that's scary, get the fuck away from me. But Other Mommy is becoming more and more insistent, and shit gets scary. I've never felt more anxious and sad while reading a horror book. This shit destroyed me. I will say it does have a sad ending. I won't say what that ending is, but it destroyed me. I was in a PE class when I finished this because we were having a yoga day. Because I was in a specific PE class where we did that. And we were like leaving our gym to go join another gym because our teacher had to leave. So I was like just kind of walking from the yoga day and being tired and listening to Heartbreak, and I sat down and I was just like, I kind of want to die. This is so sad. But yeah, that shit destroyed me. That was an amazing book. Also, really well written for a grown-ass man, like, and by that I mean 8-year-old girl POV, like, he nailed that shit. That was amazing. And yeah. Did I write? I did write Local Woman Missing on here twice. Okay, that was all the runner-ups. Anyway, time to get to my favorite book of the year by far, and that is Loud. Live the Life. Hold up, I don't have it in front of me. Oh my god. Oh my god. Loud. Except, nothing but the... Oh my god. Except Nothing Less Than the Life You Deserve by Drew Affollow. This is part memoir, part self-help book from Drew Affollow, who, if you don't know her, she is an amazing TikToker who basically laughs at misogynists on the internet and humbles them as she should. And this is basically just a book on decentering men. But it's a little bit more than that. There are some chapters on, like, there's a chapter on body image and, you know, like, some of the best way, like, some trying to perceive your body in a much more positive way. And honestly, that chapter helped me so much because I am living by the advice in that chapter, and I believe in what she wrote. I love this book so much because while it is not as, like, very humorous, I feel like there wasn't a lot of haha funny. It was a more serious book, but it was a very important book, and I truly think it should be taught to everyone. Everyone should read this at, like, from, like, teenage, pubescent years onward. Like, this is something you should teach your kids because it is very much so about unlearning the patriarchy and also unlearning and trying to deal with, like, the very bad things that come from it. There's a chapter in which she talks about being a pick-me girl because she was a former pick-me girl in high school and trying to understand why she behaved like that. And a lot of, like, why, sometimes if you look at a girl and you just kind of hate her for no reason, ask yourself why you hate her for no reason, and you'll start to realize that maybe, just maybe, it's fucking stupid. And it's such good advice, and such good advice around, like, decentering men, which I as a gay man have had to do. I have had to decenter male opinion because men ain't shit, okay? And they're opinions should not matter on who I am as a person. Yeah. And I think that is important for any woman, female presenting person, female at birth person to understand and like to learn, you know? Yeah. I love this book so much and I truly think it was so important. And it's something I will hold in my heart forever, and a book that I want to make as many people read as possible. And I think it's my new favorite book, period. I loved it so much. So much. Yeah. So anyway, that is my favorite books of 2024. Thank you all so much for sticking around. I'm sure this was another half-hour rant video, for which I'm so sorry, especially because some of those pauses were a little bit longer than they needed to be. I hope you're kind of vibing with the lighting I have going on here, because here's what it would have looked like had I not done that. Actually, that doesn't look awful, but it does. So anyway, I was trying something new, and honestly, I'm vibing with it. I love this. So yeah, that is everything. If you want to see more bookish content, specifically usually around horror and thrillers, subscribe to this channel, because I do that, and I'm trying to get into movie content. So yeah, subscribe if you want to see more of that. Here's my socials up above, my Goodreads. Yeah. That's all. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say. I'm gonna go to sleep because I'm pretty sure it's almost like 4 in the morning. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while of me yapping, and it's been fun. Thank you all so much for watching. I love you all. Have a nice day. Bye.